waiting for a slew of Supreme Court decisions on a whole bunch of really important topics. In fact, there was one that came out today on religious freedom, and I'll talk more about it tomorrow. But no decisions yet for abortion, no decision yet on guns. Those should all be coming in the next couple of weeks. But as we're in this kind of atmosphere of suspense, I see a very interesting article. It's an excerpt from a forthcoming book on Clarence Thomas. And the book is called Created Equal. It's edited by Michael Pack and Mark Paoletta. And it includes detailed interviews with Thomas, which are very kind of, well, they give you a window into Thomas's soul. And it's just very interesting to see this justice and how he responds to things. And the excerpt that I've been reading goes back to his confirmation process, a very traumatic, the whole process was awful, says Thomas. But then they ask him, was this like the worst thing that has ever happened to you? And he goes, and this is very Thomas-y, you know, I can actually tell this from knowing Thomas a little bit. I've had worse things in life. I've been blessed because I've seen worse. It was a lot worse to be hungry and not know when you are going to eat, or to be cold and not know when you're going to be warm again. These people who were doing the attacking had never known anything like that. So talk about a guy who was raised in rural poverty in Pinpoint, Georgia. And this black guy is the target of the left's rage and attack. And then he talks about the hearings. And he says, this is not an information exchange. People say things. There could be insults, slights, innuendos. There could be an effort to unnerve you, to rattle you, to get you to look bad. There's a lot of this gotcha to get you to say something that leads to something else. His point is that the hearings are a kind of an orchestrated sort of trap, particularly for Republican nominees. And the conversation in the interview turns to Joe Biden, who was then a senator, and begins to question Thomas on natural law. Now, the very idea of Biden questioning someone on natural law is downright comical. And when you look at the Biden statement, it is in his customary garbled fashion. Not exactly demented, because I don't think he was really suffering from dementia then. But again, Thomas just kind of swats it away. He says, you know, they kept asking him about natural law. He goes, I was interested in the founding, and you can't deny that natural law was an important part of that. The framers understood natural law and natural rights in a certain way. It's the underpinning of the Declaration, and then it becomes the basis for the foundation of the Constitution. But then he says this, which I think is really amusing. He says, I think what Bob Bork's mistake was, he tried to sort it out, meaning he tried to sort out the questions as if they were real questions and make sense of it. He goes, my granddaddy had a saying. He said, boy, it don't make no damn sense because it don't make no damn sense. And so Thomas's point is, don't act like this is a real investigation or a real inquiry in which intellectual points are being exchanged. He goes, I'm not going to sit here and make sense out of something that doesn't make any sense. Now, what he thinks I think is used to confuse me about what I actually think. So basically what happens is these senators, they try to say, well, what you meant to say was this, what you meant to say was that. And Thomas says, no, what I meant to say is what I said. I said what I meant. I meant what I said. So don't try to twist it. And Thomas says that the problem with this kind of approach from the Congress and from the media is it just creates an absolutely bewildered populace. People hear this stuff and they don't really know what's going on. He says he was approached by a young woman right after the hearings, and she says, you know, the only thing I don't agree with you is on affirmative action. And he said to her, he goes, what is it? And she paused and she said, well, I don't know. So here's someone saying, I don't agree with you, Clarence Thomas, on affirmative action, probably because she had heard that Thomas is wrong on affirmative action. He's got retrograde views on affirmative action. I don't agree with you on affirmative action. What is affirmative action? I'm not really sure. So Thomas's point is that this is the degradation of our public square. And he continues in a manner that's, you know, this is all, he's recalling things that happened 30 years ago, but look how they apply so much today. He goes, regardless of what I've done with my life, where I had been, where I had lived, it was all canceled out unless I agreed, meaning agreed with the Democratic senators, that 2 plus 2 equals 5. There you go. This is, by the way, right out of Orwell's 1984. You got to agree that 2 plus 2 equals 5. He goes, you have to say it, and that makes it true, because they want it to be true. So in other words, what they're really after is conformity. And then in a very poignant way, he talks about the Anita Hill case and how they leaked it. Again, we're now talking about a Supreme Court leak. It's a different kind of leak. But in that case, the left leaks out this, quote, scandal, bogus scandal, to Nina Totenberg at NPR. And it all, the circus breaks loose. Why? Because they couldn't get him on substance. And so they thought, let's launch this kind of Me Too accusation. This is before people even used the phrase Me Too. See if we can bring down Thomas that way. They didn't bring him down, thank God. And most importantly, and I think this is an important thing for Republican nominees like Kavanaugh to keep in mind, he hasn't forgotten it.